You ever wonder why we're so obsessed with aliens? We dream up these incredible, sometimes terrifying monsters for our screens. But that simple act of imagination? Well, it can lead us down this wild rabbit hole of really deep questions about science, about philosophy, and, believe it or not, about ourselves. So let's start with the monsters and see just where the science takes us.
It all kicks off with something like this. This little guy is the T. ocelos, and yeah, it's basically a parasitic eyeball creature. It's pure nightmare fuel from the new hit series Alien Earth, and it is completely captivating audiences. But it's so much more than just a scary monster.
I mean, just look at this review from space.com. They call the show an intelligent and thought-provoking bloodbath. That's the key, right? The show's creator even said it's all about asking, does humanity deserve to survive? And that's because it turns out when you design a monster this good, you're not just pulling from your imagination. You're tapping into some very real and, frankly, very weird science.
So how do you build a monster that feels real? You don't just make stuff up. No, you borrow from the real world, using a whole scientific field that's all about designing life that could actually exist.
It's called speculative biology. And it's not just fantasy. It's a serious thought experiment. It's the art of creating imaginary creatures, sure, but you're using the real rules of biology to make them plausible. It's what makes the difference between a generic movie monster and something that feels, well, terrifyingly real. And if you want to get even more specific, there's a term for this too: xenobiology. It's the hypothetical science of alien life. So when the creators of Alien Earth were brainstorming, they weren't just being artists. They were basically practicing a form of xenobiology.
And this is where it gets totally wild. The show's creators just ripped these horrifying traits straight out of a biology textbook. The creature's whole parasitic thing, that's inspired by real wasps. Its weird, decentralized intelligence, that comes from octopuses. It's just a great reminder that sometimes the most alien ideas are already right here on Earth.
You know, this obsession with what alien life could be like isn't just for Hollywood. It has fueled a very real, very serious scientific quest that's been going on for more than half a century.
Check this out. This is not a movie prop. This is a real-deal NASA report from 1965. Think about that. Nearly 60 years ago, NASA was already formally analyzing the extraterrestrial life detection problem. This was not some fringe idea. It was a core scientific challenge they were tackling head-on. And their plan was so methodical, so straightforward. Step 1, get a clean soil sample from Mars. Step 2, run some chemical tests on it. Step 3, see if anything in there eats or breathes by looking for signs of metabolism. And step 4, the holy grail, look for reproduction. It's like a clear, scientific roadmap for answering one of the biggest questions we've ever asked.
Now, to help frame this massive question, scientists came up with tools like the famous Drake equation. But here's the thing, it wasn't really meant to spit out a number. It was designed to break an impossibly huge question, how many aliens are out there, into smaller, more manageable parts. Think of it less like a math problem and more like an agenda for a really, really big scientific conversation.
But of course, not everyone's a fan. Some critics, like this user on Reddit, argue it's pseudo-profound. Why? Because we can't actually answer most of the questions in it, which, they say, makes the whole thing useless. It just goes to show that even the basic tools we use for this search are still up for debate. So where does that leave us?
It leaves us right here, with this central kind of chilling mystery. For all our searching, with all the billions of stars and planets out there, the universe is silent, eerily quiet. It's what's known as the Fermi paradox, but it was summed up perfectly with this phrase: the great silence.
But that silence leads to an even bigger question. Let's just imagine for a second that it's finally broken. We get the signal. The search is over. Right then, a whole new set of impossibly complex questions would just be getting started.
I mean, really think about it. Who gets to speak for Earth? A scientist? The UN? Who decides if we should even reply at all? The second we switch from listening to talking, the stakes change completely.
Now, this might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but scientists have actually created a detailed playbook for this exact scenario. They've developed scales to rate everything from how important a signal is to how dangerous it might be to send a reply. This isn't just brainstorming, it's a real protocol for what could be the biggest moment in human history.
Okay, but let's go even deeper. Forget intelligent aliens for a second. What if we just find microbes on Mars? Something simple.
Could even that tiny discovery completely flip our entire understanding of right and wrong on its head?
So this brings us to this mind-bending philosophical idea called normative non-naturalism. Here's the theory in a nutshell. What if morality isn't something we just made up? What if it's a fundamental law of the universe, like gravity? And what if any intelligent species anywhere would eventually figure out the same moral truths? Some philosophers even think this could explain the Great Silence. Maybe advanced civilizations don't become cosmic conquerors, maybe they just get quiet.
And this is where the search for aliens really becomes a search for ourselves. Every question we ask about them, every tool we build to find them, it just holds up a mirror to our own assumptions, our own biases, and our own weird little place in the universe.
One of the biggest biases we have is something called ground bias. It's our natural instinct to focus on problems right here on Earth. This bias shapes public opinion, and let's be honest, it makes it really hard for people to get excited about space exploration that doesn't have an immediate payoff down here on the ground.
And this isn't just a theory, you can see it plain as day in the data. A Pew Research poll from 2018 found that only about 11% of people oppose using satellites to monitor Earth. That has a direct benefit for us. But opposition jumps to 37% for a Mars mission and all the way to 44% for going back to the Moon. The farther we get from home, the more that ground bias kicks in.
And it's not just about money, it's about how we think. This idea of theory-laden perception means we often find what we're already expecting to find, which is tied directly to anthropocentrism, this deep-seated bias that the human way is the only way. So you have to ask, are we searching for intelligence, or are we just searching for another version of us?
So in the end, this whole hunt for aliens, it really does turn out to be a mirror. We started this journey designing monsters, and we ended up questioning our own morality. And it seems that whether the universe is teeming with life or we're totally alone, the simple act of searching, of looking up and out, is one of the most powerful ways we have to understand who we are, right here on the ground.